women wanting to establish their Islamic identity when it might be more comfortable for them just to blend in?
Well, I think, I mean, I can only guess, I mean, I wasn't one of those people because I started wearing the hijab before that. But, I feel that a lot of people, even not just converts, but just people who were, had raised in a Muslim family, a lot of women were like, I'm standing on the side of Muslim women because I'm Muslim, or even non-Muslims were putting the hijab on. We have that still every year in Seattle. We have this Solidarity Day, and all these people at University of Washington, girls, they like wear the hijab and to kind of support their Muslim co-students. So I just think that people, they sort of felt like I have every right to wear this hijab, and by God I'm going to wear it. So I think that a lot of that was I mean, there were people that also, on the flip side, there were several people that I know who took their hijab off because they were just afraid. But it just depends on, who you are and, your strength. And I don't know, I mean, I guess for me, maybe there was a little bit of fear, but...
So between your friends and your family today, what's the relationship between you and them? Has it improved much since that time?
When I became Muslim, I had a lot of friends who just could not accept the fact that I became Muslim. And people who I wasn't as close to, friend-wise, ended up coming to my aid. And then in terms of my family, certain parts of my family, we don't talk about it. But other parts of my family that I'm much closer to, they know who I am as a person. So the fact that I became a Muslim, they don't think it's something crazy because they know Michael is not crazy. Michael wouldn't do something crazy. We know she's an intelligent person, and she did this from her own volition because we also know Michael doesn't do things because other people tell her to do them. She does them because she wants to. So, now I think in a lot of ways I have a much closer relationship with my parents, and part of that, I've made a conscious effort to try, and I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I've tried to live up as much as I can to the Islamic principles of maintaining kinship, maintaining family ties, and trying to when my parents ask me or my sister asks me to do something, I do it unless it goes against my religion, and they know what is against my religion, so they don't ask me to do that stuff. So for that reason, I feel, and just actually the other day, I was talking to my mom, and she told me, that one thing that she knew about me was that no matter what I asked her, that I would do it, that I would do it for her. And I just thought, alhamdulillah, because that's exactly what I'm trying to do, right? For her as my mother. So, we have a very strong relationship. Part of that also is I'm not an adolescent anymore. I'm not a teenager. I'm not even in my 20s. So as you grow older, you put aside your ego, put aside that stuff, and try to have a relationship with your family on, we could argue about stuff. Even my mom told me this, that, the things that we don't agree on, we just don't talk about them. But there's so many more things that we agree on, even religiously. So why not talk about those things? Why not, focus on that? Focus on, my mom and I, we're avid sewers, so we sew together and do, sewing classes and projects and things like that. And so that's the stuff we focus on. We're not going to debate about, is Jesus the Son of God? Because I'm not going to convince her of my opinion, nor is she going to convince me of hers. So I just leave that alone. And, my family, when I first started wearing the hijab, it just was like, what are you thinking, right? Especially my father, because he has this, kind of pride, and in his eyes, his two daughters are beautiful, and they should be out there showing their beauty, and there's all that pride, right? And at first, he was just not okay with me wearing the hijab. I mean, he wasn't like, not going to be my father or disown me, but at the same time, he just, made a few comments like, I can't believe you do this, and blah, blah. But now it's like we go places, and him and my sister get kind of mouthy with people if they're staring at me, and I'm like, just calm down. It's okay. They can stare at me. It's not a big deal. So, things have gotten better, and every once in a while there's a rub here or there, but...
Sister, let me just ask you a bit about the Dawah effort here in the Seattle area and what your involvement has been and what you see in terms of the number of women who are accepting Islam here.
Well, You know, there is definitely a dawah effort here. I mean, it's not as big as some other areas, but again, the Muslim population here is relatively small compared to some other parts of the country, like New York or California. But you know, I've been involved teaching the halaqas to new Muslims, and you know, just trying to be as good of a Muslim as I can, which I think is in many ways a better form of dawah than anything else. But in terms of women converting to Islam, you know, looking back in my early 20s, you know, you definitely, as a woman in a society, you feel so much pressure to be perfect, you know, look a certain way, you know, and you know, so much focus on, you know, beauty outwardly, and you know, raising a family but working full time, and all these things that there's just a lot of like pressure on you as a woman. And I feel that Islam sort of, you know, has more defined roles. I'm not saying that a woman can't work or anything like that, but you know, at the end of the day, if you know, I had kids and you know, was working full time, and I told my husband, well, I can't work full time anymore. I got to raise these kids. Islamically, he's not going to say, no, you must work and raise these kids. Like, I can't do that.
That's right.
And as
You shouldn't say that.
Right, no, I mean, he wouldn't, you know, but, you know, the reality is that, you know, that's my focus. If I were to have kids, that'd be my focus. And I think that a lot of women in society are just feeling so much pressure to be like super women and, you know, work full time and be career women, but also be perfect moms, raising their kids, you know, but still maintaining their, you know, beautiful physique and out there and being like the trophy wife and all that. I mean, there's a lot of that in society, and I know that I felt those pressures. And I think that, you know, that's one of the reasons why Islam is so appealing to women, is that, you know, there is this focus on, you know, being a mother and being a caretaker and you know, even being a volunteer and all of those pieces, and yeah, you can have your career, but you don't have to.
But I think it's an important point which you raised, because I think it goes back to the fitra of women. Because you find today a lot of career women are giving up their careers to be stay-at-home.
Or even politicians.
Yeah, are giving up their careers to be stay-at-home mothers, realizing that's a noble position.
Yeah.
And it's very important, you know.
And it's much more fulfilling in many ways. I mean, you know, I like working in corporate America and all that, but, you know, I don't want to do that the rest of my life. I want to raise children. I want to, you know, that's what I think that is much more noble. I mean, you're going to create and teach and bring up these children to be hopefully productive, positive, productive members of society. And, you know, that's where, you know, like you were saying earlier, that, you know, the women really are the backbone of society, and that's because they're the primary teachers and caregivers, and that's really important. So, you know, maybe you need to get away and, you know, do your thing and go work part-time and all that, but I think that so many women feel this, you know, pressure in society, in, you know, Western societies, of having to do it all, be perfect at everything, and, you know, be that, you know, career lady and raising your children and being perfect mom, and you can't, it's just impossible. You don't have enough hours in the day to do all of that. And so,
and certainly the daycare centers and the people where they put the children to be taken care of are not going to do that.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, I think Islam, you know, holds men to a very high standard. As a man, you have a lot of pressures on you that in Western society, men are just, you know, throwing their responsibilities to the wind, because who's holding them accountable? They don't have a belief and they don't care. Where in Islam, it's like, you know that you're accountable to Allah, because you are the man and you have to take care of this family financially and provide for them. I mean, how many single moms are there out there? How many deadbeat dads are there? I mean, alhamdulillah, I didn't have a deadbeat dad. My parents got divorced and my dad was always there. I think that's also why I am the person that I am today too, is because of that. But not all men are like my father, and so who is going to hold those people accountable? And it's definitely not the justice system, because we know that doesn't happen. So, you know, having that real true belief that you're going to be held accountable, you know, makes men step into that position of, you know, the caretaker and the provider, and lets the women, you know, go back into, like you said, into their fitra, into their nature of being the caregiver and, you know, wanting to nest and all of that, you know, taking care of the household.